Thank you. So this was about the Mountbatten Plan and why the Congress accepted this plan. Okay. So we have done this, and this is important in this chapter. The next thing which will come from this chapter is the Indian Independence Act of 1947. Now these two things, rest you can cut this one contribution of Jawaharlal Nehru to the freedom struggle. It's not required. We will just a brief of it can be done, but the main thing that will be coming in your exams will be the Indian Independence Act of 1947. So let's start this. Um, on the basis of the Mountbatten Plan, now that we have studied the Mountbatten Plan, so what happened after this? What happened after the Mountbatten Plan? On the basis of the Mountbatten Plan of June 3, 1947, the British Parliament passed the Indian Independence Act of July 16, 1947. Now, the British Parliament, they passed an act. Following were the main provisions of this act. Now, what were the things that were in this act? We will study them. Two independent dominions, mainly India and Pakistan, shall be set up on August 15, 1947. So it was decided at that time under the Indian Independence Act of 1947. After the Congress and the League, everyone accepted Mountbatten's plan. Then they passed this resolution, the Indian Independence Act, and it said that India was going to be divided into two separate countries, India and Pakistan, and both will be independent. Pakistan was to consist of Sindh, Baluchistan, Northwest Frontier Province, the West Punjab, and East Bengal. Now these territories would be merged together, and a new country would be formed out of these territories. It would be named as Pakistan. Rest of the territories were to be included in India, and the rest of the territories they would form a part of India. It was decided in the Indian Independence Act of 1947. The second thing that was done was under this act was the British government was to have no control over the affairs of the dominions after August 15, 1947. Means till this date, the control of the territory of all the territory which was in India would be under the control of the Britishers as they were ruling till now. But once this date comes, August 15, 1947, they won't have any control over any of these territories. They will leave the country. They will hand over the power. So this was in the Indian Independence Act. You have to remember this. It's very easy. And would transfer all their powers to the assemblies of India and Pakistan. And they would hand over power to the people or the legislature, which would be of India and Pakistan. The office of the viceroy was to end for them. And from now onward, there won't be any viceroy. And replaced by a separate governor general for each dominions. And each dominion means India and Pakistan. They will have a governor general. The constituent assemblies of both the dominions would frame their respective constitutions. And now these two countries, they will have their separate assemblies. These assemblies will frame their own constitution, the constitution which will run the countries, and would decide whether to stay with the British Commonwealth or not. See, today also we have Commonwealth Games. You know, Commonwealth is those countries which were under the British rule. Afterwards, they gained independence. they are members of Commonwealth. Okay. I don't remember, but I think I'm not sure about it. There are around 51 countries in the Commonwealth. So like this. So it was decided, it was in this plan that they can be a member of the Commonwealth if they want, or they can leave it also. Just a minute. Yes. Okay. Then the British, the Constituent Assembly of each dominion shall exercise the power of the central legislatures. Now, these constituent assemblies of these two countries, which were to come up, India and Pakistan, the Constituent Assembly was going to frame up their own constitution, their own laws. The legislature of each of the new dominions shall have full powers to make laws for that dominion. And now, this legislature or the assembly that was going to be formed, it will have full power that they can form whatever laws will be suitable for their country. It was decided at that time. The right of the king to veto laws was to given up. Now, we know so many times we come across veto power that since China is at loggerheads with India, it vetoes most of the things that we want in the Security Council or in the General Assembly. It does that. So, veto power means if all the countries decide, or most of the countries decide in favor of India, something, take some decision in favor of India, but any country, especially China, I'm talking about China because most of the time it does that, it vetoes that no, this resolution cannot be passed. If India wants that, I want to extradicate this person from somewhere, it vetoes that this person can't be put on the terror list, or this country, Pakistan, can't be put on the terror list. So it vetoes means it has an option, it has an additional power. So the additional power of the king was taken away, means the king can't veto any of the thing which the Constituent Assembly was going to frame. The law was to be a part, was to be framed by the Constituent Assembly or the legislatures. This right was given to the Governor General. Now the right of the king was to be handed over or to be passed on to the Governor General. Till the new constitution was formed, each of the dominions and all provinces were to be governed in accordance with the Act of 1935. And it, take, it takes time to write down a constitution for a country. It's not that easy. So, till the time a new constitution is written and it comes into force, so some rule has to be there. Otherwise, it will lead to anarchy. There won't be any law. So, till that time, the law of 1935, the Act of 1935 was to be followed. Whatever law was there under the Act of 1935 was to be followed both in India and Pakistan. Next thing, next thing was the states would have the choice to join either of the dominions or to retain their independence. Now, states, talking about the princely states. So, there were many princely states, those states which were independent. I told you, which were not under the British control. So they were given the option that either if you want to remain independent, it's fine, And if you want to join any one of them, either India or Pakistan, it depends on you, you can join them. Then the Governor General was given the power to modify or adopt the Government of India Act 1935. Now, the Governor General, he was given the power. The Governor General was a post which was created in place of Viceroy of India, and he was given the power to modify or adopt the Government of India Act 1935 by March 31, 1948. So he could continue with that, means India would be a federation. Okay, federation, I told you, of so many states with the center having the whole sole authority. The office of the Secretary of State for India was to be abolished. Now, this was an office which was under the control of the British, and the British appointed someone who was the Secretary of State and used to look after the affairs of the people. So, that office was going to be shut down. Then agreements with the tribes of the Northwest Frontier Province were to be negotiated by the dominion concerned. Now, whatever dominion, whether it was India or it was Pakistan, whatever was going to come up, it had to make an agreement with the people living in Northwest Frontier Province, uh, whether they wanted to merge in with that country or go to the other one. The titles of Emperor of India and King of England were dropped from the royal style. Till now, the Act has its own importance. It has been rightly said that the Indian Independence Act of 1947 was a great landmark in the Anglo-Indian relations. Now, Anglo-Indian relations, why? Because Indians started to believe now that yes, they are going to give us freedom and we can have good relations with these people. It was the noblest and the greatest law ever enacted by the British Parliament. It was really a very nice uh, act passed by the British. So, and then the Secretary of State for India remarked the bill is unique in the history of legislation of this country. Never before has such a large portion of the world population achieved complete independence through legislation. And the Secretary remarked that India, which has such a great population, which was such a big territory, it could achieve independence just by an act. So it marked the end of the British rule in India. India became free on August 15, 1947, but unfortunately, it was divided into two parts. This was the most unfortunate part, India and Pakistan, that we gained independence, but we gained independence at the cost that India got divided into two parts, India and Pakistan. So with this, we come to the end of this chapter.